when I first got introduced to Fran Sisco's artwork, I was so moved, and I said, I love this. I love the way his art is transcended and the way it's trying to unify people and celebrate inclusivity. And that's one of the reasons I love art, and I'm so honored that you're here with us today. So enjoy these sculptures here. We have another one over here. These will be on view until at least the end of March, which is fantastic. We have more public art that's going to be coming before Thanksgiving. The opening will be Small Business Saturday. The Saturday after Thanksgiving, we're going to have another public art piece on the other side of our building. Right now, inside the gallery, we have an exhibition called Domestic Roots. This is an exhibition celebrating the centennial of suffrage. 15 different artists, all female artists, very diverse works of art and diverse artists, installation, photography, video art, it's all in there. I'm hanging in the courtyard, but if you would like a private tour today, I'm here, I have the keys, and I'd be happy to show you around inside. We do so much at the Pelham Art Center. We have classes, we have outreach programs, we have just community activities where we like to activate and have people consider what it is about art that connects us on that deep human level. And I'm just so happy you're here. And I can't be more grateful to know Fran Sisco. This is such a gem of an artist, and I'm really honored. And hopefully we'll see more, and we'll do more parties and more art.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. Thank you very much.
And to our performers, you guys have been phenomenal.
They are.
Thank you.
They're really great. We're going to be hearing a lot from them.
It wouldn't be
And
worth
thank
it without
you.
the audience.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming. And spread the word about the Pelham Art Center. My mother came here about 30 years ago. And Kelly, when you were very small, you came here too, right?
Yeah.
So this has been rooted so far back in our history, and it's so nicely resurrected, really.
Beautiful.
Now, and if you later on, maybe as you move around, you can look through this window, some of the windows, you can see some of the art if you don't take the tour that Charlotte offered. And I want to also give it up for Michelle Costanza here. Michelle is from the center. If you saw the press release, Michelle had done that. She helped out with so many different things. I'm very impressed by all of the people, Carolyn and Alex and everyone. So Pelham Art Center, remember it. You may know somebody who's been wanting to do some art. I want to say a few words about art and creativity. By the way, I'm so happy to have here today. I'm not going to name everyone, but I am going to name some of the entertainers. I have Gene DiNapoli here in the back that you may know from areas around here, clubs, singing, especially Elvis stuff, and he is very supportive, and I love his entertainment. And in addition, we have, as you heard Teri Lamar start off with Be My Baby. Freddie Lando is singing. You're going to hear some amazing, even Italian songs. We're going to go to that soon. And Baron Raymond playing on sax. In a little while, Kelly and I are going to do a song called Happy Trans Girl Like Me. It's an original song we wrote. And Joyce Ballard might be here with her violin if it's not too cold to play. So that gives you a sense about it. I want to talk a bit about this art. How many people like it? Like, put it right in. What are you going to do, not play it? Right. I want to say how this happened. It's sort of a spiritual, I felt it was spiritual related. You know, since my parents died, about 7-8 years ago. First my father, then my mother, and they were both sick for many years. I've been very attuned to their spirits, and also my brother before that, and other relatives. We all have relatives who passed. And I was very attuned to receiving information from them and from the universe. And I've gotten more so since their passing. Like I communicate with them on some level. And this is representative of my mother and father, two people in love. very similar. There are parallel lines making them similar colors, but the colors are set out differently. So two people could be in love, be soulmates, but could be very different too. So this was really a dedication to my parents and also to myself and my wife, who were not together as husband and wife any longer, but we still are soulmates. So this represents two people in love who would recognize their differences with one another and still be bound by the similarities. This structure here, and then I'll tell you how this all started. This one here is called My Kelly. My daughter Kelly, who's on the phone, I think, right there. Right? I'm taking a picture. I called it that because I'm so in love with my daughter, you know, and I wanted to have a testament to her. She's been the most supportive person in my life, especially during my transition to female, which isn't easy for somebody to go through, a daughter to go through. And this represents Kelly, whose mother is Irish, so she's half Irish, and that's how she gets the reddish hair and the blue eyes and the fair skin. And I'm Italian, so she gets the craziness, you know, and the temper, I guess, and maybe some of the romance too on my side. It's green, signifying Irish, and Kelly was born on Earth Day, and that year was Easter, which is springtime. And yet the whole sculpture is somewhat short, right, Kelly? You're short, right? Okay, so that's how that connects also to family. And then I'll tell you how, before I tell you about this next one, what happened in my yard. Who here has seen these sculptures in my yard, right? A number of people drive by. I live next to the Greek church in Nurshell, right next to Eastchester. And so I was trimming my trees because one of the trees, bigger than this tree over here, was dying. And it was in the front of my house. And I remember years ago when I was in another house, one year I lost 24 dogwood trees and to a blight that went around. And I so didn't want to lose it. And in my older age, I've become more involved with nature and in repurposing. And almost a throwback to when I was just in my 20s. I used to take furniture and repurpose it artfully. I won't go into all of that for you now, but so with this tree dying, I wanted to save it. And so I hired my gardener hired these two guys that were very good tree people. They went up and they clipped off all the dead limbs, which were most of the limbs. I'm thinking that the tree would survive. The limbs are on the ground. All of these, plus 50 others, are on the ground. Hi, Ruth, how are you? Our poet from the Poetry Caravan is here. So I'm glad that you're here. I'm just telling them a story, Ruth, I don't know. So these limbs are laying on the ground, and I don't want to. He says to me, what do you want to do? You want me to pulverize them? Didn't agree. You want me to throw them over the fence on the county property? No. I said, leave them there for 2 or 3 days. I want to create something out of it. This was dead stuff, dead limbs. So what I decided to do is I took the limbs, many of these, and I leaned them up against a tree bigger than that one, and it sort of at an angle, created like a teepee look. And people drove by, calling me up on the phone, on social media, what do they mean? And then I thought I wanted to draw even more attention to it. I painted one black, one white, one black, one white, and on the black ones I put a white band, made it look very Native American. I never appreciated Native Americans when I was growing up. I've come to appreciate them more in the last several years and how spiritual they are. So anyway, so I'm dedicating this. It's called the luck tree. And then as I'm doing it, I realize something's going on. And I figured, let me make up a story. So I made up a story that if you take dead limbs and you lean them on trees that are dying, those trees will come back to life. The dead inform the living, just as my parents still relate to me. And I communicate with them, and it helps me in my life now. Not only my parents, but others who have passed. And we all, many of us have a good friend, Pepe Cardona, who passed a few months ago on January, I forgot the date. And I think many of us still feel his presence. So anyway, so to go back to the story, that was my belief. I type into Facebook the story that if you put dead limbs, I don't know if this is really true or not, if you put dead limbs against a dying tree, it will bring it back to life. And I said, and what will happen is that the nature in the adjoining property will be jubilant. And just as I pushed the post button on my phone, about 200 or 300 birds in the neighboring tree on the neighbor's property started squealing and singing and everything for no reason other than that they somehow connected to me, I think. And so I put this on Facebook and I said, well, it also brings luck to the person who's the property owner. That was 1.5 years ago. I could tell you, I can't imagine being luckier than I've been in the last 1.5 years. It's brought me a huge amount of luck, maybe because of intention and belief. So because of that, the trees leaning, I thought there was some value in these dead limbs. Then the next step, I was getting my hair cut by this woman named Deborah, and she says, you know, a lot of people are talking about those limbs. You know, you may want to try to fasten them at the top and make them like a teepee. They could stand on their own. And that's what happened. I tried to use, I didn't use rope, I used zip ties, which are plastic. That's the only non-natural thing. They sit right into the ground. They're very strong. They're like incredibly strong. They've been there through hurricanes, you know. And so that's how the whole thing started. And then I would just do more and more. This one that Charlotte is putting her on the spot here, but Charlotte likes a lot, called Unity, still on my yard. It's called Unity, and it's about bringing people together, especially in this time, that we got to have fairness and kindness to one another. And there's a sculpture about 5 feet higher than this there. So that's the background of how I came up with these. I also have other sculptures, metal, and paintings and collages and things like that. But these were quite natural. So I want to know if anyone has any, I would love for some questions. And after we do like a few minutes of questions, then we're going to hear from our singers and go from there. Any questions? Oh, come on.
What about the ones in the back?
Yes, that's right. I didn't say that. These are called trans unicorns. And I felt that they looked like, hi Jane, hi, how are you? I felt like they looked like young animals just getting on their feet. You know, when their legs, like a young deer or a pony or whatever, their legs are wobbly, they're crooked, they look like they're going to break. That's what I felt that looked like. So I made, and I wanted to show unity of three. Hello, how are you? I wanted to show unity of three because in unity comes, is that Lorraine? Hi Lorraine, come on in. There's a lot around the corner. That's Lorraine Palumbo. Pepe Cardona stayed with her when he was in New York for many, many months as he struggled with pancreatic cancer. So these are young animals getting on their feet. So I made one a zebra, right? This one on the right is a zebra. What's this one here, Johnny? Take a guess. The one in the middle.
Giraffe.
No, the giraffe is on the left. But that, you're right. That's the giraffe, and that one's a deer. They're probably too close, maybe. So the transgender movement is just getting. Do I need this mask for this distance? Okay. Do I? I'm okay. The transgender movement, for those of you who don't know or have family members, it's a very confusing, gender dysphoria is a very confusing state for people to go through. By the way, I have a film on Friday in Jersey City called Happy Trans Girl Like Me. It's going to be in a festival. It's going to be high. It's going to be online. Starts at 1 o'clock. And I have a taped interview about that. But anyway, that's a 17-minute documentary I was in with my daughter Kelly, with the objective being to fully express myself as a transgender female, that I was happy, I was authentic, and I felt I was finally living my dream, which I had since I was like 7 or 8 years old. And so, thank you very much. So it's a universal message, though, because we all have things that we wanted to be a skydiver, or we wanted to be an accountant maybe, or we wanted to be an artist or whatever. We all have these ambitions and dreams, and many of us achieved them. And I felt I hadn't with my own gender, probably the most important thing. And I finally did 10 years ago. And so there's a film, I have a film about that. As much of my art that's in this booklet will show you, you know, in paintings and stuff. And it's not just to draw attention to the trans community, because that's a relatively small community, maybe a couple of million, 2-3 million people who are transgender. But so the larger community of everybody who has dreams, you know, wants to fulfill those dreams before it's too late. And this pandemic has made it very clear to us that sometimes our days are numbered, you know, so we want to do as much as we could do as soon as we could do it. So, and my daughter, that film, just to finish up the thought on that, the film is my daughter Kelly and I singing our song, Happy Trans Girl Like Me, which is a whole other story about how I created that song.
And we'll sing it later.
And we're going to sing it, actually, we're going to sing it right after, Teri's going to sing a song, one song, and Freddie's going to sing a song, and then we're going to do that song while we have a crowd here, right? So, and then we're going to go back, and then Teri will sing more, and Freddie will sing more, and Baron will play more. Okay, but I want to get that song. Does anyone have any? Michelle, thank you for that question. Reminded me about that. Does anyone have any other questions? Don't you have questions about the price?
Yeah, what's the price?
Don't you want a buck? And there's Scott.
How much is it?
All right, great. I finally see you. I finally recognize you. I want to draw attention, just like we drew attention to Charlotte before. I want to draw attention to this man, Scott Seaboldt. He's a phenomenal artist. He's a member of this art center, and his wife is a professor. She's with Parsons. And I didn't even know how accomplished she was or he was when one morning, on a Sunday morning, he saw these, some of them anyway, on my lawn on Mill Road, and knocked on my front door at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. And he said, oh, I'm sorry to bother you, but I got a few questions for you. This is like a dream come true, that somebody would love your art so much that they would knock on your door and approach you. And then Scott arranged for this park, which isn't officially open yet, called Highland Park in Pelham, for trans unicorns. That was their, well, they were in other galleries and stuff, but that was their first outdoor presentation, was because of Scott. They were there for a few months, and then he along with Stacy and Susan Mutti with, I hope some people are videotaping this, Kelly. I hope some people are videotaping this. Because this is like golden stuff, right? Yes or no? You know? This is like golden stuff, presenting art, you know, talking about your family and stuff. So then they approached Charlotte. And Charlotte was looking for art for this courtyard. Is this a beautiful courtyard or what? You know? I'm going to come here with my laptop and do work someday. So glad you could make it, Howie. So glad. So glad. So about the price. Let me tell you about the price. It's very important. Whatever price, I'm really interested in these sculptures and many more of them, replicas of them, and on different themes, being all over the place, in front of hospitals and churches and schools and parks, and people curious, what are they, and that triggering a discussion. And most of them have a special social purpose, social justice meaning, as we were kind of talking about. And so, although the prices can be seeming too high, I will work out a monthly deal. So normally a corporation would say spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 on sculpture and be happy with it. It's permanently installed, and that's it. Instead, what I'm offering is something less expensive, and if they want, in this time, I'll work out an inexpensive monthly rent. They could try it out for 4 or 5 months. If they get pushback and they don't like it, I take it out. If they want to extend it, we extend it. So I'm looking to do a lot of monthly arrangements. So if you have any contacts with, Kelly, you have a contact? Question. Go ahead.
If you're going to install them in places, then you're going to lose them. You only have this many in similar homes.
They're not, by the way, the beauty of it is they're not difficult to make. And if you just look around, there are lots of dead limbs in trees all over the place. So I'm looking to enroll, what?
Repurpose everything.
But repurpose it all. And I'm looking to enroll students. Richie, you know, I look up and I see faces that I know from. Richie, how are you? Good, very good. So that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking for ideas. So anyone has any ideas, and we could work maybe with the Pelham Art Center about that. Okay? All right. So once again, thanks for Scott. Thanks for his wife Stacy. I did a virtual class, art class, a couple of weeks ago, and what she focused on was developing your mission, your message, your focus, which I hadn't done. And finally, I expressed it. Because of her class, I got to express it, which I want to read you. It's from this, it's one sentence, really. I got me to focus my art, and I'm so thankful for her. And I'm sure other people in the class. Okay? This is my personal artist statement. To cast out my true self artistically and freely, and then grow from people's engagement and collaboration. Themes include social justice, family, inclusiveness, diversity, and personal truth. She helped me focus to get it down to that sentence. And I'm very, very thankful for her. And we all learn from each other. So that's that for no more questions? Okay. That's that portion of it. Now we'll get on to the music. We're going to hear one song from Teri, and then more later, and one song from Freddie. And then Kelly and I are going to do the song Happy Trans Girl Like Me, and then she'll do another song later. Okay. Thank you. And so we have Teri Lamar, Freddie Lando. Teri's from Eastchester, Freddie is from the Bronx, and Baron is from Nutley, New Jersey. But Baron plays all over here and all over the world. Baron's played for Rod Stewart. He's played for all of the big artists. He's an incredible saxophone player, and so we're really fortunate to have him here too. Okay, and then we're going to hear from Ruth Handel, has a couple of poems, and I have a poem too. I printed out the second one, not the first one. We'll get it on email, and you'll read it from email. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Fran.
You're welcome. Thank you, Teri.
And on that note, a little message song for everybody.